the Pacific Northwest, a place of towering evergreens, endless rainfall, and a mist that seems to cling to the earth like a veil. Beneath its beauty, however, lies something darker, something that has drawn whispers for centuries. It is a land where shadows move just beyond your sight, where people vanish without a trace, and where stories too strange to be fiction are passed down from generation to generation. Tonight, we are diving into 6 chilling mysteries that rise from the depths of this enigmatic corner of America. From ghostly tunnels and vanishing hikers, to spectral ships and bottomless pits, these stories will take you into the heart of the Pacific Northwest's most unsettling secrets. So, turn down the lights, settle into the shadows, and prepare yourself for a journey into the unknown. And before we begin, do not forget to subscribe and ring the bell for more dark stories, so you never miss the next descent into mystery. The Pacific Northwest has always been a place where nature dominates. Vast forests stretch endlessly, rivers carve through ancient stone, and mountains rise like silent guardians. This is a land that resists control, where even today, isolation can be found just a few steps off a marked trail. But with this wild beauty comes something else, an atmosphere heavy with secrecy, the kind that breeds stories whispered around campfires and etched into local folklore. Long before settlers arrived, the indigenous peoples of the region told of spirits dwelling in the mountains, of strange lights moving over lakes, and of beings that could lure the unsuspecting into the woods, never to return. To them, the land was alive, filled with power and mystery. When European settlers came, they too felt the weight of this presence. Harsh winters, endless rains, and the haunting cries of animals in the night gave rise to their own legends, some rooted in truth, others lost in fear. Over the centuries, the Pacific Northwest has built a reputation as one of the strangest regions in America. Its mix of dense wilderness, shifting weather, and centuries of myth makes it the perfect backdrop for stories of disappearances, hauntings, and unexplained phenomena. Some of these mysteries can be traced to natural dangers, raging rivers, hidden ravines, or avalanches. But others have no rational explanation. And that is where our journey begins. Mystery 1: The vanishing at Crater Lake. At the heart of Oregon lies Crater Lake, a place of astonishing beauty and unsettling silence. Formed nearly 8,000 years ago by the violent eruption of Mount Mazama, the lake is the deepest in the United States. Its waters shimmer an impossible shade of blue, so clear that they reflect the sky like glass. But beneath that beauty is a place shrouded in darkness. The Klamath people, whose ancestors witnessed the eruption, regarded the lake as sacred and dangerous. Their legends speak of battles between gods, of spirits dwelling beneath the surface, and of warnings never to peer too deeply into its depths. Those warnings were not without reason. Crater Lake has long been the site of strange vanishings. Hikers, fishermen, and even seasoned rangers have gone missing, leaving no trace behind. One of the most unsettling cases occurred in the 1940s, when a man was found dead along the rim of the crater, his body charred beyond recognition, yet no fire had been reported in the area. Investigators were baffled. Was it lightning, a freak accident, or something far stranger? More recently, stories have emerged of eerie lights dancing above the lake on moonless nights. Witnesses claim to have seen orbs of pale blue and white hovering over the water before vanishing into the darkness. Some believe they are the spirits of those who disappeared, forever tied to the depths below. Others whisper about government secrets, of caves hidden within the crater walls that may conceal something long buried. And then there are the phantom figures. Campers have reported seeing silhouettes standing silently along the rim, only for them to vanish when approached. Rangers dismiss these sightings as tricks of the mist and shadows, but those who've seen them insist they felt watched, as if the lake itself were alive, keeping its secrets well guarded. Crater Lake is a place of wonder, but also of unease. Beautiful to behold, yet impossible to fully understand. A mirror of the sky, but also of the darkness that lingers in the depths of the earth and perhaps in us all. Mystery 2: The Forest of Lost Hikers, Olympic National Park. On the western edge of Washington state lies Olympic National Park, a place of untamed wilderness. The forest here is unlike any other. Moss drapes over ancient trees like ghostly shrouds, rain falls in a constant rhythm, and fog curls low to the ground, muffling every sound. Step off the main trail, and the silence is overwhelming, so complete it feels as though the forest itself is holding its breath. For decades, Olympic National Park has been a hotspot for disappearances. Experienced hikers, seasoned outdoorsmen, Even children walking just a few steps ahead of their parents have vanished without a sound. Search and rescue teams comb the dense woods, sometimes for weeks, only to return empty-handed. In most cases, no body is ever found. No clothing. No footprints. Nothing. One of the most famous cases is that of a young man who set out alone on a short hike in the 1990s. He was well prepared, carrying food, water, and survival gear. He left behind a note telling his friends the exact route he planned to take. But when he failed to return, rescuers scoured the area and found no sign of him except for his backpack, discovered neatly propped against a tree miles away from his intended path. Inside were his supplies, untouched. His trail ended there. Then there are the stories whispered by locals and rangers alike, strange sounds carried through the mist, voices calling out in the night, or the feeling of being followed deep within the trees. Some speak of creatures, half-seen shadows that vanish when the fog clears. Others suggest something more sinister, that the forest itself does not welcome everyone who enters, and that sometimes it takes those it wishes to keep. Patterns in the disappearances only deepen the mystery. Many occur during similar times of year, often near areas marked by natural landmarks like waterfalls or cliffs. Coincidence, perhaps. But to those who've spent long nights searching the endless woods, it feels deliberate, as if something unseen waits in the shadows, choosing its moment carefully. To this day, Olympic National Park remains both a wonder of nature and a place of dread. A sanctuary of life, but also a labyrinth of secrets, where paths lead not just into the forest, but into silence final and absolute. Mystery 3. The Haunting of Portland's Shanghai Tunnels. Beneath the bustling streets of Portland, Oregon, lies a dark network of tunnels that most people walk above every day without even knowing it. Known as the Shanghai Tunnels, these passages once connected the basements of saloons, hotels, and businesses, stretching all the way to the Willamette River. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, these tunnels were not just a convenience, they were a trap. According to countless reports, Portland was one of the most dangerous port cities in America during that time. Sailors were in high demand, and men could earn a profit by delivering unwilling recruits to ships waiting to depart. This practice, known as Shanghaiing, turned the tunnels into a nightmare. Victims, often young men who had too much to drink in a bar above, would fall through trapdoors, landing in hidden chambers. By the time they regained consciousness, they were already chained, dragged through the tunnels, and forced onto ships bound for months-long voyages across the Pacific. The walls of the tunnels still bear scars of that history. Iron rings remain embedded in the stone, once used to chain captives to the floor. Narrow passageways twist and turn in the darkness, creating a maze that swallows sound. And those who have entered the tunnels in modern times report more than just echoes of the past. Visitors have described hearing footsteps behind them when no one is there, whispers that seem to come from the walls themselves, and sudden drops in temperature that leave their breath visible in the stale air. Some claim to see shadows darting just beyond the light of their flashlights, figures that vanish the moment they are pursued. Tour guides have even reported entire groups freezing in terror when a low moan reverberated through the tunnel, too loud to dismiss as imagination. One chilling account tells of a woman who felt her hand suddenly grabbed in the dark. She thought it was her husband, only to realize moments later that he was standing on the opposite side of the group. Her scream echoed so loudly through the tunnels that it silenced the tour. Nothing was there, but the imprint of fingers lingered on her skin. The Shanghai Tunnels are a reminder that Portland's past is not only colorful, but cruel. And while the days of Shanghaiing are long gone, the shadows of those who suffered here may never have left. To walk those tunnels today is to step back into a place where fear still lingers, waiting for the next soul to pass through. Mystery 4. The Ghost Ship of the Columbia River. The Columbia River, stretching more than 1,000 miles from the Rocky Mountains to the Pacific Ocean, is both a lifeline and a graveyard. Known for its treacherous currents and violent storms, it has claimed countless ships since the first explorers set sail upon its waters. Locals call certain stretches of it the Graveyard of the Pacific, a title earned by the wreckage scattered along its shores. But among these stories of destruction, one legend stands out above the rest: the tale of the ghost ship that drifts through the fog. For over a century, witnesses have reported seeing a ship materialize out of the mist, gliding silently against the current. Its sails are torn, its deck empty, and its wood bleached pale as bone. Some say the vessel appears aflame, glowing red and orange as though consumed by fire, only to dissolve into nothingness before the eyes of stunned onlookers. The earliest accounts date back to the 1800s, when settlers described spotting a phantom schooner drifting downstream. They claimed it was crewed by shadowy figures who raised no lanterns and answered no calls. Mariners swore it was an omen of disaster, that to see the ship was to invite death or tragedy soon after. Modern sightings continue. Fishermen, late-night travelers on the river, even groups of campers on its banks have all told of the same apparition, a vessel emerging from the mist, utterly silent, utterly unreal. Radios sometimes go dead in its presence, and compasses spin without reason. By the time anyone can react, the ship is gone, leaving nothing but a stillness on the water and a lingering sense of dread. Historians speculate that the ghost ship is tied to one of the many wrecks that litter the Columbia's history. Perhaps it is the Jenny, a schooner lost in the 19th century with all hands aboard, or another vessel swallowed by the rapids near the Columbia Bar. But those who have seen it believe it is more than a memory. They insist the ship is cursed, forever doomed to wander the river's fog. The Columbia River holds many secrets, but none so chilling as the silent ship that sails its waters. Whether it is a trick of the fog, the weight of legend, or something truly spectral, those who witness it never forget the sight and never shake the feeling that they were not meant to see it at all. Mystery 5. The Mel's Hole Phenomenon, Ellensburg, Washington. In the quiet hills near Ellensburg, Washington, there is said to be a hole. Not just any hole, but one that defies all logic and science. Locals call it Mel's Hole, named after the man who first brought it to public attention in the 1990s. At first glance, it seems like an ordinary pit in the earth roughly 9 feet across, lined with stone around its rim. But what lies beneath has fueled decades of speculation, fear, and legend. When Mel Waters claimed the hole was on his property, he described it as bottomless. He said he lowered fishing line, weighted with a sinker, to measure its depth. According to him, the line extended past 80,000 feet without ever hitting bottom. If true, this would make it far deeper than any natural or man-made hole on Earth. But the strangeness did not end there. Neighbors reported bizarre phenomena around the site. Animals refused to go near it. Birds avoided flying overhead. Radios picked up static or strange voices when brought close. Some claimed to hear faint mechanical noises rising from the darkness, as if something were moving far below the surface. Mel himself told stories that bordered on the impossible. He spoke of throwing dead animals into the hole, only for them never to make a sound upon landing. One local even claimed that a dog tossed inside later appeared alive and well, roaming the fields as though nothing had happened. As Mel shared more, the mystery grew. He alleged that the government became involved, blocking access to the area and silencing those who asked too many questions. Mel claimed he was pressured to leave the property, and after speaking out on radio shows, he disappeared from public view, fueling suspicions that his story touched on something bigger than anyone realized. Skeptics dismiss Mel's Hole as nothing more than a hoax, a strange tale spun for attention. Yet believers point to the consistency of reports, the strange reluctance of animals to approach, and the chilling accounts of those who swear they have seen or felt the pit themselves. What lies beneath the soil outside Ellensburg remains a mystery. A bottomless void, a natural wonder, or perhaps something far stranger, an opening not just in the earth, but into another realm entirely. Whatever the truth, Mel's Hole remains one of the Pacific Northwest's most enduring and unsettling enigmas. Mystery 6. The Enigma of Mount Rainier's Disappearances. Mount Rainier rises like a titan above Washington state, its snow-capped peak often hidden behind shifting clouds. At over 14,000 feet, it dominates the landscape, beautiful and menacing at the same time. Climbers are drawn to it every year, chasing its summit, yet the mountain has a darker reputation. Rainier has swallowed more people than it has ever returned, and its slopes are littered with mysteries that have never been solved. For decades, hikers and climbers have vanished on Rainier without a trace. Some disappear during storms, their tracks cut off abruptly in the snow. Others vanish on clear days, in full view of experienced companions, as if the mountain itself simply opened and took them in. Bodies are rarely recovered. When they are, the circumstances are often baffling: gear found intact, campsites abandoned, or remains discovered far from the expected paths, as though moved by unseen hands. One of the most haunting tales dates back to the 1920s, when a group of climbers disappeared during an ascent. Searchers scoured the mountain for weeks, finding no trace. Then, months later, a body was discovered on a remote glacier, perfectly preserved in ice. The man's expression was frozen in terror, eyes wide, mouth open, as though he had seen something unspeakable in his final moments. Modern disappearances continue to puzzle investigators. In the 1990s, a skilled mountaineer vanished less than a mile from base camp. His equipment was later found neatly arranged, but he was gone. No sign of struggle, no evidence of a fall, simply gone. Park rangers have long whispered about the mountain keeping its dead, as if Rainier itself holds those who trespass too far. Legends only deepen the unease. Indigenous stories warn of spirits dwelling within the volcano, guardians of the land who punish those who disturb their domain. Some climbers speak of strange sounds carried on the wind, low voices, almost chanting that seem to come from within the ice itself. Others report flashes of light high on the slopes, far from any camp or human presence, vanishing as quickly as they appear. Mount Rainier is both a monument of beauty and a keeper of secrets. It looms over the Pacific Northwest like a silent sentinel, majestic by day and ominous by night. To many, it is more than a mountain, it is a graveyard, a place where the line between the natural and the supernatural is blurred, and where some who enter never return. Mount Rainier rises like a titan above Washington state, its snow-capped peak often hidden behind shifting clouds. At over 14,000 feet, it dominates the landscape, beautiful and menacing at the same time. Climbers are drawn to it every year, chasing its summit, yet the mountain has a darker reputation. Rainier has swallowed more people than it has ever returned, and its slopes are littered with mysteries that have never been solved. For decades, hikers and climbers have vanished on Rainier without a trace. Some disappear during storms, their tracks cut off abruptly in the snow. Others vanish on clear days, in full view of experienced companions, as if the mountain itself simply opened and took them in. Bodies are rarely recovered. When they are, the circumstances are often baffling: gear found intact, campsites abandoned, or remains discovered far from the expected paths, as though moved by unseen hands. One of the most haunting tales dates back to the 1920s, when a group of climbers disappeared during an ascent. Searchers scoured the mountain for weeks, finding no trace. Then, months later, a body was discovered on a remote glacier, perfectly preserved in ice. The man's expression was frozen in terror, eyes wide, mouth open, as though he had seen something unspeakable in his final moments. Modern disappearances continue to puzzle investigators. In the 1990s, a skilled mountaineer vanished less than a mile from base camp. His equipment was later found neatly arranged, but he was gone. No sign of struggle, no evidence of a fall, simply gone. Park rangers have long whispered about the mountain keeping its dead, as if Rainier itself holds those who trespass too far. Legends only deepen the unease. Indigenous stories warn of spirits dwelling within the volcano, guardians of the land who punish those who disturb their domain. Some climbers speak of strange sounds carried on the wind, low voices, almost chanting that seem to come from within the ice itself. Others report flashes of light high on the slopes, far from any camp or human presence, vanishing as quickly as they appear. Mount Rainier is both a monument of beauty and a keeper of secrets. It looms over the Pacific Northwest like a silent sentinel, majestic by day and ominous by night. To many, it is more than a mountain, it is a graveyard, a place where the line between the natural and the supernatural is blurred, and where some who enter never return. 6 stories. 6 enigmas pulled from the misty depths of the Pacific Northwest. At first glance, they seem separate, different times, different places, different victims. But when woven together, a pattern begins to emerge, one that is as unsettling as it is undeniable. This region is alive with mystery. From Crater Lake's spectral lights to the haunted tunnels beneath Portland, from phantom ships to bottomless pits, the Pacific Northwest resists explanation. It is a land where nature dominates, where the wilderness swallows people whole, and where legends linger as if rooted in the very soil. Each story whispers the same truth, that the unknown here is not a thing of the past, but something active, something waiting. Think of it. Entire groups of people vanishing into forests. Ships that sail through fog centuries after they sank. A mountain that keeps the souls of climbers. A pit that seems to lead not into the earth, but into something else entirely. What if these are not isolated tales, but threads of one vast tapestry? What if the Pacific Northwest is not simply a place of rugged beauty, but a threshold, a borderland between the world we know and something far darker? Those who live here feel it. The silence of the forests. The shadows moving in the fog. The pull of places they cannot explain. Some say the land remembers. Others insist it watches. And perhaps the most terrifying possibility is that it chooses deciding who may pass through and who will be claimed forever. The Pacific Northwest is more than a region on a map. It is a story that is still being written. And within that story, countless mysteries remain unsolved, waiting for the next person to stumble into them. The Pacific Northwest has always worn two faces. By day, it is a place of towering forests, shining lakes, and mountain peaks that touch the sky. But by night or in the silence of fog, it reveals its second face. A land of secrets. A land of whispers. A land where every trail might lead not just into the wild, but into the unknown. Crater Lake, Olympic National Park, the Shanghai Tunnels, the Columbia River, Mel's Hole, Mount Rainier. Each is a chapter in a story that may never truly end. Some mysteries lie in history, others in the land itself. And still others, perhaps, in forces we cannot see or name. They linger, waiting for new eyes, new witnesses, new victims. What do you believe? Are these tales born of fear, shaped by isolation and superstition? Or is there truly something here, something vast and hidden that resists explanation? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Which of these mysteries unsettled you the most? And if you have ever experienced something strange in the Pacific Northwest, share your story. I want to hear it. If you enjoyed this descent into the unknown, do not forget to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next tale. Because the darkness is always closer than you think. And sometimes it is waiting just outside the light.